Welcome back to Psychology of Humans. If Confucius taught order, responsibility, and social harmony, Zhuangzi taught freedom, radical psychological freedom. Zhuangzi lived around the 4th century BCE and is one of the most playful, paradoxical, and psychologically penetrating thinkers in history. Where other philosophers tried to define the self, Zhuangzi asked a dangerous question: what if the self you're defending isn't real at all? His work is not a system, it's a dismantling. The problem of identity, Zhuangzi believed most human suffering comes from over-identification. We cling to roles, opinions, labels, reputations, beliefs about who we are, and then we suffer when life challenges them. Psychologically, identity becomes a cage. When the mind says, "This is who I am, this is how things should be, this must not change," freedom disappears. The butterfly dream, Zhuangzi's most famous story, captures his insight perfectly. He dreamed he was a butterfly flying freely, unaware of being Zhuangzi. Then he woke up and wondered, was he Zhuangzi dreaming he was a butterfly? Or a butterfly dreaming he was Zhuangzi? The point is not confusion, the point is detachment from certainty. Identity, Zhuangzi argued, is fluid. The moment you cling to it, you suffer. Perspective is psychological liberation. Zhuangzi constantly shifted perspective to expose how rigid thinking traps the mind. What seems important from one viewpoint is trivial from another. What seems tragic now may later seem irrelevant. What feels permanent is temporary. Psychologically, this creates cognitive flexibility, the ability to move between perspectives without collapsing emotionally. Rigid minds suffer. Flexible minds adapt. The tyranny of right and wrong, Zhuangzi warned against becoming trapped by rigid moral certainty. When the mind insists on absolute right and wrong, conflict escalates, identity hardens, compassion disappears. This does not mean moral chaos. It means recognizing the limits of perspective. Modern psychology shows that intolerance of ambiguity fuels anxiety and aggression. Zhuangzi saw this centuries ago. Effortless living. Like Laozi, Zhuangzi valued effortless action, but with more humor and irreverence. He mocked forced seriousness, rigid discipline, and self-importance. When people obsess over improvement, they lose spontaneity. When they cling to control, they lose flow. Psychological freedom comes from lightness, letting go of the need to be someone. One of Zhuangzi's deepest insights is this: you don't need to become anything to be free. The constant project of self-construction creates tension. Who should I be? Am I enough? Am I living correctly? Zhuangzi dissolves the question altogether. Freedom comes not from becoming better, but from stopping the fight with who you are. Zhuangzi in modern psychology. Zhuangzi's influence appears in mindfulness, acceptance-based therapy, non-attachment practices, identity flexibility, research, existential psychology. His message aligns strongly with modern mental health principles: less fixation, less rigidity, more openness. Why Zhuangzi matters today. In a world obsessed with labels, opinions, and personal branding, Zhuangzi offers relief. You don't need to defend your identity. You don't need to be right. You don't need to lock yourself into a fixed story. Freedom begins when identity loosens. Final thought: Zhuangzi teaches that the mind becomes free when it stops taking itself so seriously. You are not a fixed thing. You are a movement, a process, a perspective that can change. When identity softens, suffering fades. Psychological freedom is not control, it is lightness. Thanks for watching Psychology of Humans.